Hello, Happy New Year, Guten Rutsch, Bonne Année, s Novim Godom, and today I want to take advantage of this time to go through what I've done in 2020, just kind of review my language learning from last year, the goals I made and the progress that I made, and then go through some goals for 2021. So I'll start with my main goals, and that was to study Japanese and Mandarin 30 minutes every day. I was not 100% consistent with that, but largely good. And so the consistency was the key. The fact that I was aiming for 30 minutes a day during a large portion of the year, I was successful in that. Sometimes I did miss some days, especially October, November, and December. Towards the end of the year, I got more busy and fell short, especially in the Mandarin. But I did do over 150 hours of Mandarin, and I believe somewhere around 170 in Japanese. And with that consistency, I was able to almost fully complete the Genki course for Japanese. And then I'm also listening through the Path to Advanced Japanese, I think that's what it's called, course through Japanese Pod 101, which I have a membership on. I'm on lesson, I think, 82 now on that. And I read through those PDFs. So for the Genki course, I'm on the last chapter. I still want to review some of it, so go through. My goal is to actually review all of it again in the month of January. So for my January goal for Japanese, it will be to finish this book. Oh, turned my camera sideways. A lot of exercises, a lot of grammar points. Very good textbook that I've enjoyed using. Let me fix that. And then for Mandarin, my main goal last year was to complete Chinese with ease. It comes with audio. This is the volume 1, and I'd gone through this and repeated it many, many times, writing out everything until I really learned it. So it was difficult for me, but now I feel like I know all the dialogues, pretty much anything that's in here, I can write it out, and you can see the Mandarin and then the English on the other side. I don't think that strategy is the most effective way to learn a language because I was very slow in working my way through it, but it did help me to really get down and work on learning how to write. I also used this Yasimil writing course, which wasn't the best, but it did help me learn with my stroke order. Now, since I do enjoy the writing aspect of Mandarin, I am working through the John DeFrancis Beginning Chinese Reader. It really goes through using the traditional characters here. So I'm kind of learning that. So now I'm on page 80. My goal in Mandarin is to complete this. I'm also using pop-up Chinese for my podcast and working on listening. My goal is to finish the intermediate library of their podcasts to really work on my listening comprehension while I'm still doing this. I also plan to use LinkQ, that's LINGQ.com, to listen through a lot of their courses for Mandarin and Japanese. I like their course. I think it's set up. They have a lot of good content on there. It has audio and reading and translations on each word if there are any words that are unknown. So those are the main goals for the Eastern Asian languages that I'm learning right now. As far as German and Germanic languages, I've really enjoyed. I had a few distractions throughout the year. I've been working on Dutch. I've completed this book, went through it a few times. My understanding and reading and listening has improved quite a bit. I'd say it's a level B1. But my ability to speak or write is a lot worse, so it's easier for me to recognize it or hear it than it is for me to actually produce it. And I hope to continue a little bit. It's not that I do a ton of work on Dutch. I'm not studying it as like a main language, but it's kind of a fun distraction, I guess I should say, whenever I want to do something that doesn't take quite as much effort as, say, going through a big, more serious course like in Japanese or Chinese. I can work a little bit on Dutch. and while I was working on Dutch, it kind of motivated me to want to improve my German much more, so that I don't get them confused and really bring my German to a higher level. A lot of what I've been doing in German is watching TV shows, either on Netflix, Babylon Berlin, Dark, listening to a lot of German podcasts. Easy German has a podcast that's 30-minute lessons all in German. That's really great for me during my commute to and from work to improve my German listening. And my main goal in the next year is I finally want to get into some more reading in German. The only thing I've read in German so far was Metamorphosis from Kafka, Die Verwandlung in German. And so I have, a group of short stories with the German and English. It's from Kafka and Rilke. And I really want to get through that. So that's the German. As far as the Romance language family, my main goal, as I mentioned before, will be to really make Spanish part of my daily life, really boost my Spanish. I'm trying to find more podcasts that I like. They're hit and miss, but I do listen more in Spanish. I want to speak more Spanish in my everyday life. I also want to start reading more Spanish. So this is my next book that I'm going to read, El amor en los tiempos de cólera. And outside of that, I'd like to read maybe one book in French, another book in Spanish besides this, or two in Spanish, and then just maintenance for Portuguese and for Italian. Nothing particular, just, same thing that I've been doing, little bits here and there. Outside of that, I do enjoy Scorpio Martianus has Latin courses. As a side distraction, I've done a fraction of the amount of Latin is even compared to even Dutch, so I don't really do a whole lot with that. But every once in a while, especially as I'm using more Spanish, that might be fun just to compare, the evolution of Spanish, how different it is, the grammar, something that is a language nerd that I would enjoy. Anything else? Oh, yes. And lastly, Russian. So in 2019, I studied, as far as the Slavic family, I studied a little bit of Polish and Czech. I completely stopped that in 2020 and only did Russian, but I did a lot of Russian. So Russian was the third most studied language of 2020. I've studied a little over 100 hours, I think, in Russian. Mainly reading, so I read through 2033, a book in Russian that's quite long. 600 to 700 pages, I think. And then I've read a collection of short stories by Victoria Tokareva, and I read Azazel by Boris Akunin. So, 3 things in Russian that I've read through the year, which for me is a lot. And then just listening to podcasts and watching, occasionally movies, or Lucha Chem Люди is a television show that's currently on Netflix. I find it pretty good. I saw the first 8 episodes. I'm a quite tough critic when it comes to TV shows or movies, so the fact that I'm enjoying it and haven't given up on it is, means it's at least a half decent show. So for next year, I will be cutting, in order to spend more time with Spanish and continuing a little bit more reading with German, I'll probably dial it down on the Russian. So I don't have any specific goals besides just listening. Hopefully I'll get to read one book in Russian maybe towards the end of this year, but I'm prioritizing, since I did so much more, since I read more this past year, there are other books and other things that I want to get to, and then maybe at the end of the year I'll double back to read a book in Russian to close out the year. So yes, that's all of my goals, recap of 2020, and then my goals language learning wise for 2021. Thank you for listening, and good luck with your goals.